Hello, Facebook friends. Joey Gabarda coming from Classic Honda of Midland here off of Wall Street. And I wanted to go over a couple things with you today. And today I wanted to go over leasing. I'm not trying to sell anything. I just want all of our friends on Facebook to know and understand leasing, because not only is it the second biggest purchase in a family, but it's also an emotional purchase. And I want to make sure that everyone out there has their options, because you want to make the right decision on this, because it's something that you're going to have to live with. And they're very, very expensive, any vehicle that you look at on the market. So I want you guys to understand exactly how it works, what the advantages are, what the disadvantages are, what the differences are between leasing a vehicle and purchasing a vehicle. And I can turn around and show you exactly how it works. But this isn't a sales tactic or anything. I just want all of our friends here in this wonderful community to know exactly what it's all about, so you can make a more informative decision. So let's talk about leasing. I've been doing this for 25 years. Never in my life have I ever purchased a vehicle. I've leased every single one of them. My wife, I trade her in and out of cars. Before I bought the store, probably every 2 years she would get a new car. And I did that because, one, I didn't want to pay the maintenance on the vehicle. Two, we have two kids. We lived in Dallas at the time, and, in the traffic, it's 110 degrees outside. I've got two kids in the back, car seats. The last thing I wanted ending up with her is her on the side of the tollway, in traffic with a broken down car. So that's what made me feel confident in buying a car or leasing a car for my wife. The other thing is, the average trade cycle for any customer is going to be about 3.5 years. So, people's lifestyle will change every 3.5 years, and I'll go through that. But what I wanted to first start with is I want you guys to understand exactly how a lease works. Okay, so I've got my whiteboard here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to actually draw it out for you so it's easy for you to comprehend. If you have any questions, you can just messenger us, or send us a message, and we'll reply as promptly as possible. So when you are dealing with a lease, the number one thing and the number one way a lease is structured, it's structured around actually two things. There's two things you pay for in a lease. You're going to pay a lease charge, which in layman's term is interest, and you're going to pay a depreciation charge, which you're paying for the depreciation on the vehicle. So let's talk about that, okay? In a lease, everything is set off of residual. So the big Maroni label that's on the car, the big MSRP, that's exactly how you figure out a residual on the vehicle. The dealerships don't set them, the leasing companies set them, okay? And there's a lot of math done behind it, but normally the leasing companies, they're dealing with the risk. So a residual is basically what an estimated value will be for the vehicle down the road. Now, you take a vehicle that's been on the market for a long time, Toyota Camry, Nissan Altima, Honda Accord. Those vehicles been on the market, 20, 30, 40 years. So it's very easy to predict the resale values of these vehicles versus some other vehicles. And that's where these lease programs are either very strong or subpar at best. So let's take, for example, let's take a vehicle, and I'm gonna make the numbers very easy, so it's very easy for you to comprehend. Okay, let's say you have a $30,000 vehicle. Okay, and let's say we look in the book, and the leasing company says on a 3-year lease, this vehicle will have a 50% residual. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, 50%. So what they're saying is, on this $30,000 car, after 3 years, the estimated value of this vehicle will be 50% of this. So 50% of $30,000 is $15,000. Okay? So in a lease, everything between here and here is what you pay. And that's leasing. Now, Again, we don't set the dealerships don't set the residuals. The leasing companies set the residuals. So, for example, if the residual was set higher by the leasing company, let's say this was 52%, okay, then your value on this vehicle is going to be, let's call it 15.6. Okay, the higher the residual, the lower the payment. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The lower the residual, the higher the payment. And that's leasing. Okay, now you see a lot of ads on TV. A lot of the ads are going to say, you know, there's a lot of fine print, which in turn it may look misleading, but in reality it's not, because they're national ads. So when national ads come out, you'll see $4,500 down, you know, plus your taxes and your fees, etc. And the reason why the reason why the manufacturer will set leases up like that is because they're national ads. And when you get into a national ad, when you go from state to state, county to county, city to city, a lot of the registration structure, the tax structure, a lot of them will vary. For example, in Georgia, you go to Fulton County, your sales tax is 7%. You can go to Cherokee County and it's 6%. In North Carolina, you have a straight 3% tax is what you're going to pay on vehicles. In South Carolina, it's a straight $300 fee. So in the state of Texas, we pay sales tax on the selling price of the vehicle. So every state is set up different. So when you do lease a vehicle and you see a national ad, a lot of times you're going to see a cap cost, which is the amount of money that you have to put down, plus you're going to have to pay taxes, registration fees, etc. on top of that.